There have been individuals whose names have become synonymous with brutality and ruthlessness in the dark underbelly of organized crime. Roy Demeo, a cold-blooded killer and the leader of the infamous Demeo crew, was one such figure. Demeo and his gang terrorized Brooklyn in the 1970s and early 1980s, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. But who was Roy Demeo and what drove him to such violence? In this mini-documentary, we look at Roy Demeo's terrifying life and crimes, including the formation of his crew, the infamous Gemini Method, and the eventual downfall that would bring his reign of terror to an end. Who was Roy Demeo? Roy Albert Demeo was a working-class Italian immigrant of Neapolitan origin who was born in Flatlands, Brooklyn. In 1959, he graduated from James Madison High School and began working as a loan shark. Between the ages of 15 and 22, he worked as an apprentice butcher at a local grocery store. Anthony Frank "Chubby" Demeo, Roy's older brother, was killed in action during the Korean War. When Roy's father died of a heart attack in 1960, he and his mother returned to Italy to live with relatives near Naples. The formation of Demeo crew. Roy Demeo was a member of the Lucci's crime family's Flatlands Canarsie faction, which controlled tow truck companies, junkyards, and car theft operations in Brooklyn. Anthony Gaggi, a soldier in the Gambino crime family, noticed Demeo in 1966 and suggested he work for them directly. Demeo stayed in the loan sharking business with Gaggi and started a gang of young men involved in car theft. This gang of criminals became known as the Demeo crew, both in the underworld and among law enforcement. Chris Rosenberg, a 16-year-old who met Demeo in 1966 while dealing marijuana at the Canarsie gas station, was the first member of the Demeo crew. Demeo assisted Rosenberg in expanding his business and profits by lending him money to allow him to deal in larger amounts. Rosenberg had introduced his friends to Demeo by 1972, and they had begun working for him as well. Joseph and Patrick Tester, Anthony Center, Richard and Frederick Denome, Henry Borelli, Joseph Dracula Guglielmo, Vito Arena, and Carlo Profeta joined the crew as well. Demeo also became a member of the board of directors of a Brooklyn credit union in 1972. He used his position to launder money earned from his illegal activities and introduced colleagues at the credit union to a profitable side business, laundering the money of drug dealers he met. Demeo also expanded his loan sharking operation by stealing funds from credit union reserves. In late 1974, a feud erupted between the Demeo crew and Andre Katz, a young auto repair shop owner who was a partner with Demeo in a stolen car ring. Demeo found out about the meeting from an auto crimes detective on his payroll not long after it happened. Roy asked Demeo crew member Henry Borelli to contact a female acquaintance, Babette Judith Questel, about being used as a bait. In May, Katz testified before a Brooklyn grand jury, disclosing his knowledge of the Demeo crew's illegal activities. On June 13, 1975, Questel was used to successfully lure Katz to her Manhattan apartment complex for a date, where he was abducted by members of the Demeo crew. Katz's head was then crushed by a machine designed for compacting cardboard boxes. The infamous Gemini Method. Demeo and his team developed the Gemini Method in the 1970s to quickly dispatch and dismember victims, with the exception of killings intended to send a message or murders where no other option was available. The Gemini Method, named after the Gemini Lounge, was the Demeo crew's primary hangout and the site for the majority of the crew's deaths. The plan was to lure victims through the side door of the lounge and into the apartment at the back of the building. A crew member would approach with a silenced pistol and a towel, shoot the victim in the head, and wrap the towel around the victim's head, wound like a turban to stop the blood flow. Another crew member would then stab the victim in the heart to prevent more blood from pumping out from the gunshot wound. The victim would have died by then, and the body would have been stripped naked and dragged into the bathroom, where the remaining blood would drain or congeal within the body. The body parts would then be placed in bags, placed in cardboard boxes, and transported to Brooklyn's Fountain Avenue dump. The carnage continues. Demeo became a silent partner in a bestiality and child pornography peep show or prostitution business in Bricktown, New Jersey in 1975. The business's owner, Gaggi, threatened Demeo with death if he did not stop, but Demeo defied him and continued the practice, despite the Gambino family's strict prohibition on such conduct. Demeo faced Internal Revenue Service investigations into his income as 1975 came to a close, but he used false affidavits from businesses owned by friends and acquaintances to account for some of his income, allowing him to reach a settlement with the IRS. Carlo Gambino died of natural causes in 1976, bringing about a significant change in the Gambino family. Paul Castellano was named boss, Aniello Della Croce remained underboss, and Gaggi was promoted to capo regime, taking over the men Castellano previously led. Demeo benefited from this promotion because his mentor was now closer to the family's leadership. However, Castellano allegedly opposed the creation of Demeo and did not immediately open the books to new members. Castellano was also involved in white-collar crime and despised street-level members such as Demeo. Demeo had grown dissatisfied with his situation by 1977 and began looking for opportunities that would provide higher returns for his superiors. Demeo gained acceptance into the Gambino family by forming an alliance with the Westies, an Irish-American gang. To the chagrin of Gambino boss Paul Castellano, the rival Irish gang Mickey Spillane was causing delays in the construction of the Jacob K. Javits Convention Center. Following the unsolved murder of Spillane in May 1977, Westies leader James Coonan took control of the Irish mob rackets on Manhattan's West Side. Demeo persuaded Gaggi to join forces with the Westies, and they agreed to become a de facto arm of the Gambino family and share 10% of all profits. Demeo was hired in mid-1977 and assigned the responsibility of handling all family business with the Westies. He was told to seek permission before carrying out any murders and to avoid drug dealing. Demeo's crew, on the other hand, continued to sell large amounts of cocaine, marijuana, and a variety of narcotic pills. Demeo also carried out illegal killings, such as a 1977 double homicide of Jonathan Quinn and Cherry Golden, Quinn's 19-year-old girlfriend. Demeo grew his business, particularly his auto theft operation, which grew to be the largest in the New York City history. Hundreds of stolen cars were shipped from the port of Newark, New Jersey to Kuwait and Puerto Rico as part of the operation. Demeo and Nino Gaggi were involved in a fight with James Ippolito and James Ippolito Jr., two Gambino members of Gaggi's crew in late 1979. James Ippolito met with Paul Castellano and accused Demeo and Gaggi of drug trafficking, a crime punishable by death. Castellano, a close ally of Gaggi's, sided against Ippolito in the situation and gave Gaggi carte blanche. Plan to dethrone Demeo. By 1982, the FBI was looking into a large number of missing and murdered people who had been linked to Demeo or had been last seen entering the Gemini Lounge. An FBI bug planted in the home of the Gambino family, Capo Angelo Ruggiero, overheard a conversation between Ruggiero and Gene Gotti, John Gotti's brother. During the conversation, Gotti mentioned that his brother John was hesitant to accept the contract because Demeo had an army of killers surrounding him. Ralph Scopo claimed in April 1984 that Castellano directed John Gotti and Frank DeCicco to kill Demeo, but they were unable to get close to him. Gotti and DeCicco had planned to kill him on December 16, 1985, and so they did. Roy Demeo's story is a chilling reminder of how far human depravity can go. His transformation from a loan shark to the leader of a ruthless criminal organization sheds light on New York City's dark underbelly of organized crime in the 1970s and 80s. His crew's signature method of disposing of victims, the Gemini Method, sent shockwaves through the city, leaving a trail of unsolved murders and missing persons. While justice eventually caught up to Demeo and his gang, their reign of terror left an indelible mark on Brooklyn's criminal landscape. This marks the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, then make sure that you like and share. Let us know your opinions in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next one.